What is up guys, so we're going to be doing a test stand video for the mix of Dinowrestlers plus the pure dinos as well, and we're just going to see how things go. I can't really show you off particular specific combos for this because I don't really know any. It's more so the deck just interacts as itself, so I figure I could show you how it actually works by doing test stand videos instead. I do apologize for the artificial light here, but over here in Australia, despite the fact that it's 4 PM, it's incredibly dark, so I just need the artificial light to brighten things up here as well. It's the middle of winter and it is extremely cold, so I pre-piled shuffled these, so we're just going to do a few quick cut shuffles and we'll get started. Alright, so this is definitely very interesting. Obviously we are going first, so it's really odd, but right now we can go for the Lost World and we could go for the Fossil Dig. This will go for Oviraptor. From there we could activate the normal summon Oviraptor, give our opponent a token, but at the same time Oviraptor can also use its effects. Now we're not playing double evolution peel in this and the Overtext, so overall we can't actually do that typical combo. This is a Dinowrestler deck, but we can still do a few other different things instead. So for example, if we look at all what we have here, let's just see and think about this for a second. I think what's nice is that we could actually ditch to the graveyard. I think I'll send the Giant Rex to the grave. And then from there, what I'll do is I'll use Oviraptor's effect, targeting the token. However, I'll use the Lost World to protect the token and destroy one of our other cards instead. So what I'm actually going to destroy is I'm going to actually destroy the Petite Pteranodon. When it's destroyed, we could special summon out the Stegosaur. When this card is special summoned, you could add a Dinowrestler monster from your deck to your hand, or a World Dino Wrestling from deck to hand. So either or definitely is okay here. So in this particular case, we could actually add Agna, because this is definitely a really nice card as kind of like a hand trap to protect your dinosaurs. And then from there, we could also just banish off Petite Pteranodon, as well as the Giant Rex, and together this allows us to go for our Ultimate Conductor, so it's definitely quite nice there. But of course Giant Rex does come back, so as an overall we can always overlay with the Stegosaur, and we could go for a lot of different options here. In this particular case, well, let's see what we can go for. We could also go for Link Monsters. That is definitely an interesting option, but at the same time, well, what we could do is... No, we could actually just go for the Lagia. I mean, the Lagia is definitely just a really good start for us. You could also go for Abyss Dweller, depending on who you're actually taking on. However, given this is your very first turn, we have no idea what the opponent's playing. But overall, very good setup here. As you can see, we have negations with Lagia, and we have protections with Anger as well. So definitely very nice. Of course, it only helps protect the Dinowrestler monsters, so do keep in mind, it can't actually protect these guys right now. So you could technically keep him on the field and use the Oviraptor as material instead. Either way, it works just fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the combo, so let's move on to the next. Alright, so this is a very interesting hand. Firstly, we could go for Fossil Dig. If your opponent's planning to actually negate you, we have 2 Caught by the Grave, so no big deal there. Fossil Dig will definitely go off. Go for Oviraptor, activate Oviraptor, and use its effect. Unfortunately, we don't have the Lost World combo in this one, but we could still do quite a few things as well. We have these two, which unfortunately we can't do too much right now, but still send cards to the graveyard. Or could actually add something to the hand as well. It's interesting. I'm thinking about adding Miscellaneousaurus to the hand as well. I think it's not too bad of a choice there. So I think I'll actually do that. I'll add the Miscellaneousaurus to the hand. And then at this point, if our opponent still hasn't done anything with their hand traps, we could always set 2 Caught by the Grave, which is definitely really great disruption there. And on our next turn, we could still do things like Pancratops, and we also have Miscellaneous to kind of protect the Oviraptor as well, just in case. So definitely a few options, not as great of a start, but overall, I'm showing you this to actually demonstrate that sometimes the deck won't get particularly amazing hands. Alright, so again, we can't really do too much here. We can go for the Foolish Burial Goods. The opponent can negate that if they want, but of course it doesn't really matter at this point. We'll assume they can't. But we could send the World Dino Wrestling to the graveyard. It's unfortunate because at this point we can't really do too much, so you could technically save it, but at the same time I kind of want to deck thin a bit. So we're going to normal summon out the Oviraptor, which will allow us to either send a dinosaur to the grave or add something to our hand. In this particular case, I'm thinking about actually adding Koisilat to the hand instead. Reason why is because on our next turn, our opponent most likely will destroy the Oviraptor, in which case we could special summon this out. We could also technically special summon the Prankatops as well, just in case. We also have the World Dino Wrestling to do a few things as well, and we have Miscellaneousaurus to protect our monsters as well. So not particularly an amazing combo-based hand, but overall it is definitely a really good setup that prepares you for the next turn. Which brings us to the whole point of this particular deck. It's actually a turn 2 deck. As you can see, the turn 1 hands aren't particularly amazing, so we're definitely going to have to demonstrate what it can actually do in turn 2, because we obviously have to rely on the fact that our opponents actually have monsters, and that's kind of one of the inherent weaknesses with Dinowrestlers. Alright, so this time we're actually going to try going second, because simply I think that Dinowrestlers kind of have that weakness and they do need to go second. However, you don't have to worry about that, because most of the time, whether you win rock, paper, scissors or not, you're most likely going to be going second, because most people prefer to go first anyway. Alright, 6 cards for our opening hand. This is surprisingly really good. We're going to assume the opponent has at least one monster on the board, because they did go first after all. So firstly, let's just go for the Foolish Burial Goods to might as well deck thin here. So I'm just going to ditch the final World Dino Wrestling. I'm surprised we even drew into both of them. But that's definitely very interesting now, because we could actually activate the Lost World. You could activate this first and then the Lost World as well, which is not too bad of an idea. So we'll activate that and then we'll activate a Lost World. I don't want to activate all of them because I want to keep my opponents guessing, but overall getting 2 to the graveyard as resource will definitely be very nice. But we could always... firstly, we have Koisilat out, so we'll special summon it out. And overall the opponent gets a token now. So now they should have 2 monsters on the board. You have 1, so you can actually activate the World Dino Wrestling, use its effect, and special summon. Keep in mind it's only once per turn, so we can't activate both, but we're going to bring out the Stegosaur. Obviously that will allow us to search and add more. So let's see what we can actually add to the hand. We could either go for Pankratops, or we could also potentially go for our Synchro Summon and add the Escaramanchi. Very interesting, we could add this because technically we haven't done any normal summons yet. However, I kind of want to just save that because we do have Oviraptor, which is definitely a much better card to actually go for here in this particular case. I think there's more potential for combos. So in this case, I think I'm going to add the Anger, which is kind of like our hand trap for battle. We will be normal summoning the Oviraptor now. So with that, Oviraptor's effect can actually allow you to add. What I want to add, actually what I'll do is I'll probably ditch the Giant Rex and send it to the graveyard. You know, I think that'll definitely be a pretty alright move there. But basically at this point, what we want to do is we want to use Oviraptor's effect and pretty much try to target our own token, which the opponent controls, but we'll use Lost World again to protect it, in which case we can destroy either Petite Pteranodon, and I think I actually will do that. I'll destroy the Petite Pteranodon, and now its effect goes off, which kind of actually allows us to go for our, let's see, Escaramanchi right here. Now we could take these two, and we could technically go for a Synchro Summon, in which case we get to bring out our Giga Spinosaurus, which is definitely very nice. So overall, going into battle, you are definitely in a very good position here because all your opponent's monsters did lose 500 attack and defense. You also have this, which would be very nice as well. and once per turn you could also target one card your opponent controls and destroy it, so definitely very nice as well. And we also have the Stegosaur and Oviraptor, and we also have the Anger just in case something goes wrong with either of our two Dinowrestler monsters. But overall, definitely a very good second turn. Not enough to OTK, but still something very solid. Alright, so more Dinowrestlers in this particular hand, however we can definitely do a few things. Firstly, again, we're going second, so assume the opponent has a monster on the board. We're going to at least banish or activate the Burial Goods, and that will allow us to send our World Dinowrestling to the graveyard. World Dinowrestling will use its effect to banish itself, which will allow us to actually add, let's see, we could special summon any Dinowrestler monster from our deck. So what do we actually want to bring out? We already have the Stegosaur in the hand, which is kind of sad. So we're going to have to go for something else here. I kind of want to go for it anyway, because if we go for it, we could technically just go for the search. And we could actually bring out the Pancratops here, which I think would be a really good move. We'll also add or activate Fossil Dig, which will allow us to go for our Oviraptor. See how key this card actually is to the deck. It's just so amazing. It's just really necessary, but we'll pretty much activate the Oviraptor on summon, and we'll search for whatever we want here. So in this particular case, let's see, we could either ditch something to the graveyard or we can summon something. At this point, well, it's pretty interesting. But before you summon out the Oviraptor, make sure you special summon the Pancratops first. If your opponent happens to have more monsters than you do, you could technically special summon this out for free. So, I don't know, we're going second. We can always assume that the opponent will have more monsters than you. But then we'll normal summon Oviraptor and do the whole thing. In this particular case, we don't have too much, so I'm actually going to add the Miscellaneousaurus. Now, of course, we did have a Chord by the Grave, so if the opponent actually has something to do, then you could always just Chord by the Grave their hand trap. But you could also activate the World Dinowrestling as well, which is definitely quite nice, but we'll activate it afterwards. Actually, what we'll do is we could actually just go and enter into battle right now, and then just deal a lot of damage onto opponents, and then on main phase 2, you can go for the World Dinowrestling, meaning at this point, since you have Dinowrestler monsters, your opponent can now only attack with one monster at a time. You also have Miscellaneousaurus to protect them from anything like Raigeki or Dark Hole, which is now at 3, and we also have Chord by the Grave to set, just in case the opponent might have any monster effects in a graveyard or any hand traps to actually stop us. We also have a Martial Anger as well to protect us, so definitely very good. This deck is definitely more of a setup deck, a very control style deck than anything, so very interesting to see all this. We're going to do one more test hand and anything's off here. Alright, so this particular hand, not as amazing as the rest, but we could still definitely do things. Unfortunate that this is a second hand, but even so, we could go for the Foolish Burial Goods and ditch our final copy of the World Dinowrestling. So, ditch it. And from there, what we could do is we could activate one of the World Dinowrestlings and then activate over it the Lost World. We could banish one of them from the grave, which will allow us to obviously search, and we'll go for our... Where is it? Stegosaur, definitely a really great card to summon off the World Dinowrestling because it allows us to pretty much add more to the hand. So we could actually either add the Martial Anger, or we could add the, where is it? The Stegosaur, no, not Stegosaur, why do I keep saying that? Pancratops. Reason why we do this is because with Lost World, the opponent does get a token right now. So we can actually assume that the opponent has more monsters than we do, in which case we can summon out the Pancratops as well, which is definitely very nice. Of course, Metaverse can only be set, so we'll just set it right now and see what happens on the later turns. But of course, we do have this somewhat of a, I don't know, mediocre board, so we could definitely do things. We have protection, we could normal summon, we could overlay as well, or we could just go for a lot of attack right now. And that could definitely work. For example, let's just actually proceed to battle. So we'll normal summon out Miscellaneousaurus as well, go into battle, attack our token, use Lost World's effect to actually protect it, in which case we'll destroy something else. we're going to let's destroy Baby Cerosaurus this time, in which case its effect goes off, allowing us to special summon our Oviraptor from the deck. Oviraptor will have its own effect, allowing us to actually ditch or add something from our deck to your hand. You could add the Martial Anger this time, and in this particular case, we could continue on to battle, destroy our token, and then attack over their monsters, or go into this as well. But at the same time, Pancratops also can tribute off one Dinowrestler monsters as well, and target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So for example, you just continue and attack the token over with the Stegosaur, use his effect to destroy this, or tribute this, and then destroy their other monster, and then go for the final 2 attacks with these as well, which would definitely be very nice. So yeah, this is just all really awesome. We also have the Martial Anger if we need to as well. So overall, not too bad. Lost World also decreases their attack, but that's pretty much it for the Testhand video for this. We showed 3 turns going first, 3 turns going second, and we could definitely see that, you know, the deck isn't particularly something amazing that's meant to be OTKing the opponent all the time, but overall you could see the fun in this compared to just a pure Dino deck, and a lot of variety as well, so definitely give this deck a try. A lot of the Dinowrestler cards are commons anyway, so you could get a lot of them really easily. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.
I'm alone, I'm a broken home. I gave you all the bricks that I own and know. I'm letting go, I'm breaking these walls down, breaking these walls down. If you want adventure, then fly to home. But if you wanna travel, then go alone.